Hey guys, welcome to my channel. So today's video is going to be 3 different Christmas cookie recipes. It's finally getting into the Christmas season, so I'm going to make 3 different Christmas cookies today. I'm going to make Winter Wonderland cookies, which are a play on chocolate chip cookies. Christmas cake batter cookies, which is supposed to be a crumble knockoff or a crumble dupe, and peppermint kiss cookies. So if you're interested in seeing how you make those, then keep watching. Okay, so I'm starting with the Winter Wonderland cookies, and I'm just making my regular chocolate chip cookie recipe, and then I'm changing the add-ins a little bit. I also do want to mention, when I'm showing you making the recipes here, I am doing a third of the actual recipe because I did not need a full batch of all 3 of these cookies. So, yeah, I just kind of wanted to mention that. I also will be linking, or yeah, I'll either link or type the recipes down below in the description box. And yeah, I was working on a new camera angle here. I'm not sure I actually like this camera angle, but yeah, we'll see if I do this in the other videos. So, but the flour is the last thing I add in this recipe, and then I will get into the mix-ins. Okay. So I just wanted to mix up the batter a little bit more after pulling it off the stand mixer. And then I added in white chocolate chips, semi-sweet chocolate chips, sprinkles. Like, I had the jimmies for another cookie recipe that I will be sharing in this video. And then the red and green Christmas M&ms. And then for me, I just used a spoon and scooped these out onto parchment lined baking sheets. And since this is my regular chocolate chip cookie dough recipe, I know how this bakes, and I know how big to make them, and I know how to scoop them out and all that. It's just something I've learned over time. I know how this dough works, and it does not work well when you use a cookie scoop for some reason. So, yeah. So these will look a little bit rustic. And the recipe I was basing this off of also included coconut and macadamia nuts in this recipe. And I just didn't think it needed coconut and macadamia nuts, along with the sprinkles and the chocolate chips and the 2 type and the M&ms. I just didn't think it needed it, and these were good either way, because It's just a play on chocolate chip cookies. But these bake at 375 for 8 to 10 minutes. This is what they look like when they come out of the oven. So yeah, you can kind of get why they're called Winter Wonderland. Honestly, I just think they need to be called. Okay, so this next cookie is the crumble cookie. Knockoff. Dude, what is the word with food? I can never, there's a word for it, and I can never think of it. But this one I did first, or I did this one, I should have done this one first, and I didn't think, but I ended up doing the chocolate chip ones first because I knew that was the same thing. And then I think that's why I did it first, because I wanted something safe and familiar. And this one, it sounded pretty simple, but I wasn't really sure. And I'm also going to add in this one. You could probably make even easier if you just use a box of yellow cake mix and 2 eggs and half a cup of vegetable oil. Because this is basic, yeah, this is called a Christmas cake batter cookie from Crumble, and that's what it's supposed to be. And I've had the cake batter cookies from Crumble before, and it does taste an awful lot like it, which honestly surprised me, because sometimes you try these recipes and they don't taste anything like you think they should. But I just, when I made this, I'm thinking, this kind of just tastes like cake mix. I guess that's from the cake batter extract, but if you wanted to make it easier, just get a box of yellow cake mix, 2 eggs and half a cup of vegetable oil, mix that up, and then add in your half a cup, or just, honestly, you probably wouldn't even need half a cup if you used a cake mix. Probably a quarter to a third of a cup of the Christmas jimmies. so this one said 2 to 3 tablespoons of dough scooped, and then you take a glass and you smash them down so they're flat and round cookies. So I used my cookie scoop that I have. Not actually sure how big this thing really is. I think it's a tablespoon. It might be a little bit more than a tablespoon, but it worked. But I just scooped it out, and here you'll see me getting the glass, and I did adjust the camera so you can see it a little bit more. And this does stick to the glass, so if you probably need to dip the glass in either flour or spray it with some cooking spray so it doesn't actually stick to the glass. But I didn't really have a problem. It came off after a little bit of maneuvering. And then I baked these because I kind of roughly guessed that these were 2 tablespoon size. So I baked them for 13 to, I think I baked them 16 minutes. You'll see when I set the timer. But the recipe said for 2 tablespoons of cookie dough, you baked it at 350 for 13 to 16 minutes, and then for 3 tablespoons you baked it for 18 to 20. Yeah, I baked mine at 16 minutes, and this is what they look like when they came out. Lightly golden, which is exactly what you want. And these do get big, like I'm showing you. They are the size, they are bigger than my palm. So these do get really big. While I was letting those cool, I got started on the chocolate peppermint blossom cookies. And this was just a chocolate cake batter, or chocolate cake, yeah, chocolate cookie dough. And you rolled that into a ball and you baked it. You could also roll it in sugar. I did not feel like it needed to be rolled in sugar. I felt like the dough was sweet enough, but I didn't want to add any more sweetness, because for the peppermint part of it, you were adding a candy cane kiss. You're not actually adding any peppermint extract into the cookie. Okay, so I liked these the best when it came to actually rolling them out, because I was just able to take a pinch of dough in my hand, roll it into a ball, and you'll see me comparing sizes there to make sure I was roughly on the right track. But I think it says to make these 1 inch to 1.5 inch size balls, and I think I did 1 inch. But that's because I have in my head, still to this day, that you do not need a giant cookie. And that's based off years of making Christmas cookies and Christmas candy with my grandma. Because everything we did was always bite-sized. 1 to 2 bites, cookies, candies, anything. It was 1 to 2 bites. That way you didn't get filled up on one cookie, and you could try a little bit of everything. But these bake at 350 for 8 minutes. And while those are baking, you unwrap your your candy cane kisses and pop those in the freezer. And then when those, honestly, you should probably do that first, but I didn't. I did that while I was letting these bake. But I popped them in the freezer for like 5 minutes and they were perfectly fine. And then I just placed them on the cookies right in the center, just like a peanut butter blossom, except it's a chocolate cookie. And that one tried to run away. Okay, so the final thing I'm doing is preparing the frosting for the cake batter cookies. It's just butter, cake batter flavor, powdered sugar, and some whipping cream, and trust me, that's so easy. And it's, I would say though, if you do make these cookies and you just use the cake mix like I'd said to make it easier, I would go on and make the frosting, because you're not going to get this taste from any canned frosting that you buy in the store. Okay, so after the cookies have been cooled, I I decided to use a piping bag. If you don't have a piping bag, you don't have to. You can use a spoon or a butter knife and just smooth the frosting onto the cookie. But I had a piping bag, so I just used it. You could also use a Ziploc bag and just cut the tip off of it and make a piping bag that way if you want to actually pipe it. And then you can do however you like. I wanted to do the swirl that you see when you actually get them from Crumble. Then I top them with more sprinkles. You can use the sprinkles that are like the jimmies that you put into the cookies, or I had Christmas tree sprinkles, so I used Christmas tree sprinkles to top these cookies, and these are so good, and these are addicting, and I will be making these for Christmas. I need to figure out a way to make them smaller, but honestly I might just keep them this size. Okay, so this is the look at the final 3 cookies. By far, the favorite was the cake batter cookie. The second was the chocolate chip. And the third was the peppermint blossom, because you have to like chocolate and mint to really like that. Like Bryson liked it, and that was his second favorite. But everybody else, that was their third favorite. So I don't know if I'll be making that one again. But if you like chocolate and mint, definitely make that cookie. But that's going to be it for this video. Thank you for watching. I will see you tomorrow for my next one. And bye-bye.